Today we're going to continue reading Mrs. Dole's Out of Control. Happy Tuesday. Chapter 4. Everybody loves bonbons. The next morning, we had to go to the all-purpose room for an assembly. Mr. Klutz got up on stage with Officer Spence, our school's security guard. Officer Spence was wearing a fireman costume. Today, we are going to learn about fire safety. Mr. Klutz said, "Officer Spence is a trained firefighter." "Fire is very dangerous, kids," said Officer Spence. "Does anybody know what you should do if your clothes catch on fire?" I raised my hand, and Officer Spence pointed to me. "If your clothes catch on fire," I said, "you should buy new clothes." Everybody laughed, even though I didn't say anything funny. "Before you go buy new clothes," said Officer Spence, "you should stop, drop, and roll. Watch this." Officer Spence did the most amazing thing in the history of the world. He poured some stuff on his fireman costume. Then he took a lighter out of his pocket and set himself on fire. Officer Spence's fireman costume was full of flames. "Stop, drop, and roll," shouted Mr. Klutz. "Stop, drop, and roll." We all started chanting. Officer Spence threw himself on the ground, covered his nose, then he rolled all over the stage until the fire was out. Officer Spence makes no sense. He told us that we shouldn't go home and set ourselves on fire. We learned all kinds of other stuff about preventing fires too, like you shouldn't ever set your brother or sister on fire. When we got back to class, Ryan's mom was waiting for us. Ryan hid under the desk. Andrea's mom was waiting for us too. Andrea sat up even straighter than usual, if that's possible, and folded her hands so her mother would know how perfect she is. The two PTA moms told Mrs. Daisy that the class had a surprise for her. We all went to our cubbies to get out our presents. Then we lined up and put them on Mrs. Daisy's desk. "I got you a box of bonbons," I told Miss Daisy. "Hey, I got her bonbons too," said Michael. "So did I," said Emily. "Me too," said Neil, the nude kid. It turned out that just about everybody in the class got Mrs. Daisy bonbons. "That's a lot of bonbons." "Thank you so much," Mrs. Daisy said. "You know how much I love bonbons." "Everybody loves bonbons," said Emily. "Why don't you open a box right now?" Michael suggested. "Oh, I really shouldn't. I'm trying to eat healthier," Mrs. Daisy said. "Well, maybe just one." Andrea's mom passed out bonbons to everyone. While we ate them, Mrs. Dole went to the front of the class. "Part of my job as PTA president is to plan your graduation," she said. "You're going to wear caps and gowns, and there will be a guest speaker and a big cake, and you're going to get diplomas and..." Is all that really necessary?" asked Andrea's mom. "With all due respect, the children are just moving up to 3rd grade. "Just moving up to 3rd grade," Mrs. Dole said. "This is an important milestone in the children's lives. Our babies are growing up so fast. Soon they'll be able to go to middle school. Before we know it, they'll be in high school. Then they'll be going off to college, and I won't see my little boy anymore." Mrs. Dole started sobbing. Ryan looked like he was going to die. I thought his mom might tell more students about Ryan peeing, but she just blew her nose in a tissue and blurted something about how much we grew since we were in kindergarten. Andrea's mom rolled her eyes. I don't think she likes Ryan's mom very much, but she can't do anything about it because Ryan's mom is the PTA president, and she's only the vice president. Finally, after 1,100,000 hours, the PTA moms left. "Is my mother gone?" Ryan asked. "Yeah," I told him. "You can come back up now." Chapter 5. Getting ready for the big day. It was the last week of school, so we hardly learned anything. That was fine with me, because learning stuff is boring, but it was hard to concentrate. I kept thinking how in a few days we would be off for summer. Mrs. Daisy wasn't concentrating either. She had a new hobby, knitting. She pretty much sat in the back of the room knitting while Ryan's mom helped us get ready for graduation. Sometimes Andrea's mom came in too. But she spent most of her time rolling her eyes. Boy, she sure rolls her eyes a lot. Eye rolling must run in Andrea's family. We had to do all kinds of stuff to get ready for graduation. Do you know when you have to graduate, you have to wear a weird cap on your head that's shaped like a square? Nobody knows why. Mrs. Dole asked our art teacher, Miss Hannah, to help us make the caps out of construction paper and cardboard. Miss Hannah also helped us make graduation banners and signs to decorate the hallway. On Thursday, Mrs. Dole had us march from the gym to the playground behind the school, so we would learn how to make a grand entrance for our parents. She made us practice over and over again until we got it right. Did you ever hear of the graduation song? It's a song they always play at graduations. Mrs. Dole asked our music teacher, Miss Loring, to play that song on the accordion while we marched around the playground. He told us the real name of the song is Pomp and Circumstance, but nobody knows why. The song doesn't have any words. It goes like this: dum 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 dum. It's a dumb song, if you ask me. Songs are supposed to have words, so I make up words to the graduation song. They go like this: I'm graduating, there's a square in my head. Why is the square on my head? Because I'm graduating. You repeat that over and over again. While we were marching around the playground, we taught the words to everybody. Soon the whole class was singing it. It was cool. Mrs. Dole told us to knock it off. Practicing for graduation all morning was boring. I couldn't wait for lunch. Finally, after 1,100,000 hours, Mrs. Dole said it was time to go in the vomitorium to eat. I sat at the table with the guys. Michael tried to juggle his tater tots. Neil the new kid, put cookies over his eyes. Ryan let us pour salt on his tongue. Andrea and her annoying friends sat at the table talking about girly stuff, like what color dresses their dolls like to wear. What are you guys doing over there, over the summer? Asked Ryan. I'm going to sleepaway camp, said Neil. I'm going to football camp, said Michael. I'm going to cooking camp, said Ryan. My family is going to rent a house at the beach, I said. I didn't ask Andrea what she'd be doing over the summer. She was probably going to learn her multiplication table so she would be smarter than everybody in 3rd grade. Andrea was sitting there all quiet. I figured she was still mad because her mom lost the PTA election. Are you still mad because your mom lost the PTA election? I asked her. No, Andrea said. I'm worried about Miss Daisy. What about her? Asked Emily, all concerned. Haven't you noticed? Andrea said. Mrs. Daisy has put on a lot of weight. She's getting fat. It must be all the bonbons we gave her, said Neil, the nude kid. My bad. She's probably eating a box every night, Ryan said. That's not good for her, said Emily. It's all your fault, Arlo, Andrea said. You were the one who thought of giving her bonbons. Why is everything always my fault? I didn't force Miss Daisy to eat so many bonbons. What is Andrea's problem? I wish a truck full of bonbons would fall on her head.